Look closely at the people around you. Study how they move through the world. If you pay attention, you will realize that almost everyone is living inside a predictable mechanical loop. They react the exact same way to the exact same insults. They aggressively defend the same insecurities. They chase the same cheap, fleeting validation. They operate like simple computer algorithms. Input a compliment, output a smile. Input an insult, output anger. They are entirely, tragically predictable. And because they are predictable, they are incredibly easy to control. Welcome to Quiet Power. Today, we are transcending traditional psychology. We are leaving the battlefield of normal human interactions and exploring a state of psychological existence so profound, so deeply unsettling to others, that it makes you virtually untouchable. To truly master human dynamics, you must first realize a fundamental truth about emotional warfare. Manipulators, narcissists, and toxic individuals do not attack randomly. They are predators, and like all predators in nature, they study their prey before they strike. What are they studying? They are studying your structure. In psychology, your structure is your visible shape. It consists of your rigid beliefs, your loudly announced boundaries, your desperate need to be seen as a good person, and your fixed emotional triggers. When you build a massive, rigid wall to protect your ego, you feel strong. But to a manipulator, a wall is just a target. A wall can be studied. A wall can be climbed. And with enough pressure, a rigid wall can be shattered into a million pieces. They need you to have a solid shape because they need to know exactly where to hit you. But what happens when you lose your shape? What happens when the manipulator throws a punch and instead of hitting a solid wall, they hit empty air? What happens when you become completely and utterly formless? There is an ancient, thousands of years old Stoic and Eastern philosophy regarding the nature of water. Water is the softest, most yielding substance on the planet, yet it can penetrate the hardest rock and destroy steel bridges. Water has no rigid shape of its own. If you pour it into a cup, it becomes the cup. If you pour it into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. It adapts to everything, yet it submits to nothing. If you strike a block of ice with a hammer, the ice breaks. But if you strike a pool of water with a hammer, what happens? The water simply parts, swallows the hammer, and immediately returns to a state of perfect, undisturbed stillness. You only hurt your own hand. In advanced psychological terms, becoming formless means systematically erasing your predictable reactions from the physical world. It means destroying the instruction manual that other people use to read you. Let us look at how this is executed in real time. When a toxic person tries to bait you, their goal is to trigger your defense mechanisms. They want you to solidify. They want you to puff out your chest, raise your voice, and defend your ego. The moment you defend yourself, you become a solid object. You become the block of ice, ready to be smashed. But the formless individual operates in a completely different dimension. When they insult you, instead of defending your ego like a rigid wall, you simply let the insult pass right through you, like a ghost. You use the dark psychological tactic of strategic ambiguity. You do not say yes, and you do not say no. You offer nothing for them to grip onto. If they say, "You are incredibly arrogant," the predictable mind fights back. "No, I am not. Let me explain." But the formless mind? The formless mind simply looks at them, blinks slowly, and says, "Perhaps, perhaps," or "That is an interesting perspective," or "You are free to think so." Notice the sheer, terrifying power of those phrases. You are not defending yourself, so there is no wall to break. But you are also not submitting to their narrative. You are simply becoming mist. You are letting their attack fly into the endless void of your indifference. When they expect you to be furious, you are peacefully silent. When they expect you to pull away in sadness, you observe them with intense, unblinking curiosity. When they frantically try to read your micro-expressions to see if they hurt you, they find an entirely blank page. This state of unreadability is the manipulator's greatest, most paralyzing nightmare. Understand this deeply. Toxic people, narcissists, and psychological abusers operate purely on the assumption of cause and effect. Their entire worldview is built on a control panel. I push the guilt button, I get an apology. I push the fear button, I get compliance. But when you become unpredictable, you are violently ripping the wires out of their control panel. They press the anger button, and absolutely nothing happens. They press the guilt button, and they are met with a blank, empty stare. Suddenly, they are left standing completely in the dark, stripped of all their weapons, entirely unsure of what to do next. By stripping away your predictable persona, you force a psychological reversal. Nature abhors a vacuum. When you provide zero data, zero emotion, and zero reaction, their brain cannot handle the emptiness. So they begin to project their own insecurities onto your blank canvas. This is the genius of becoming formless. You force them to reveal exactly who they are. Because they do not know what you are thinking, they will start to panic. They will begin to over-explain themselves. They will nervously try different tactics. They will stumble over their own words. In their desperation to force a reaction out of you, they will expose their own hidden darkness, their own weaknesses, and their own desperate need for control. They will frantically try to grasp water, only to find it slipping through their fingers, leaving them with absolutely nothing. And where are you while this chaotic breakdown happens? You are nowhere, and you are everywhere. You simply sit back and you watch. You do not argue. You do not explain your silence to them. You do not arrogantly announce your boundaries, because announcing a boundary is just drawing another target on your chest. You enforce your boundaries purely through your energy, your tactical ambiguity, and your strategic, calculated absence. I must warn you, however, this level of psychological mastery is rarely achieved by the average person. Why? Because to become formless, you must first kill your ego. The ego hates being formless. The ego wants to be seen. The ego wants to stand on a mountaintop and shout, "Look at me! Look at how strong I am! Look at how I defeated you!" The ego desperately wants to prove its superiority. But true, dark, silent power does not need a single person in the audience. True power is looking at a game you are guaranteed to win, realizing the opponent is not worth your time, and simply choosing not to play. True power is knowing with absolute certainty that you hold all the winning cards and peacefully deciding to walk away from the table. When you are formless, you become the unseen architect of every dynamic. Because you have no shape, you cannot be contained. Because you have no predictable pattern, you cannot be trapped. You hear everything, you see everything, but you reveal absolutely nothing. The next time someone attempts to drag you into their toxic, chaotic world, remember the water. Remember the ghost. They cannot manipulate what they cannot predict. They cannot break what has no shape. They cannot assassinate a character that refuses to stand still in their crosshairs. Stop giving them a target. Become the void. Let them swing their heavy, clumsy fists at the air. Let them scream into the abyss. Stand back, remain completely unreadable, and watch them exhaust themselves fighting their own terrified shadows. Your mind is an impenetrable fortress. Let your physical presence be the thick, mysterious mist that surrounds it. If you are ready to drop your predictable identity, if you are ready to dissolve your ego and step into absolute, untouchable power, like this video and subscribe. The deep evolution of your mind continues here. Stay formless, stay unreadable, stay invincible.